Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Just Login's webinar on the Workplace Safety Management Measures Briefing. I hope you all have your lunch ready, and thank you for joining us this afternoon for this webinar. Just want to make sure that I've got the audio working and the videos and presentation working. Could anybody just give me a sign if there's anything wrong with my videos? Everything's working fine. Good, fantastic. Thank you for confirmation. So, thanks everyone for joining me today on this webinar series, webinar itself. I mean, this is probably not the first time. This is not the first time I've done this done a webinar for everybody. But probably some of you might be joining us for the first time. But just for your information, this is part of Just Login's webinar series. We've done quite a number of webinars since the beginning of the lockdown or the circuit breaker. So since the COVID situation started, we've been doing this. Sorry. Yep. So I think there's audio in the background. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so thanks for everyone for joining in. With this, I'll kind of start the webinar, right? So as you all should know by now, after this COVID situation, I think things are a little bit more stable. Government has kind of taken our circuit the breaker mode. So, but certain things the government has put in place, a lot of agencies put in place, and as an advisory to most companies in Singapore is this. So essentially, you can now go back to work only if you cannot work from home, right? So the default mode of working is still effectively working from home. So if your organization is currently looking at ways to encourage employees, how do you arrange your employees, what time frame is, it doesn't seem like the government has pinned down a time frame. As much as possible, please work from home. I think this by now I believe most companies have adjusted to it. So be aware that this is still work from home by default, and if there's a reason that your employees can work from home but you do not allow them, it's actually could be still an offense or something that MOM will still pay attention to. So, but before I go further, maybe I'd like to everybody do a simple poll. Are you aware that we need to appoint a safe management officer for your workplace? Okay. Just want to make sure that everyone is aware that there is this thing called safe management officer. That MOM has stipulated that every company should have one. So let's wait for the results. So is it yes, no, or similar? That's good. I'm surprised. It seems like everyone is coming in very prepared today. So there's actually a safe management. 76% of the audience actually have a safe management officer already assigned, and you are probably been told to come to this webinar. Okay, so well, then I hope to make today's webinar a bit more useful for you. So as a sales management officer, I think the main point is that there's a few things you need to look out for. You need to look out for is to implement a very detailed monitoring program, okay, to make sure that everything that your company has does is in compliant, everything is according to the safe management measures. And also you have assigned a safe management officer, which is you in your case, right? And to conduct internal inspections to make sure that everyone is in compliance. All the doors are have safe entry codes, places that needs to needs to look out for. You already gone through a checklist for that, and keep all the proper records of people coming in the office, anybody who's ill, etc. So all these needs to be put in place and need to be recorded down. So in the event that there's any inspection by any other government officers, you have all this information. Someone is there to refer to and deal with this situation. So when it comes to safe management measures, there's a few things you need to look out for. First of all is that you need to safeguard your employees. Okay, make sure that employees are not overly exposed or to high risk situation, like maybe a frontline employee not being assigned a mask, or somebody who needs to go delivery is not being given the right tools, or someone who's working in the kitchen is not given the right protective gear, or someone who's dealing with the patient is not given the right things. So you need to safeguard the employee, make sure that all the safeguards are in place. You need to safeguard your workplace to make sure the environment that you have for your employees is safe, it's cleaned down, it's periodically checked, and as well as monitored for any infringement. And last thing is to how to manage unwell employees, employees who actually could be sick, and how to deal with these issues going forward. So let's talk about how to safeguard employees, right? So the main thing here is to work into what you call business BPO, right? So just to make sure that your business is segregated, your employees are segregated. One of the BCP project, business continuity plan, okay, that we have seen a lot of companies implement is to stagger the employees, all right, either in a stagger by making sure that they're in different groups. So for example, team A will have certain key functions from people from finance, people from sales, people from operations that needs to keep the bare bones of the company working. And team B will have a similar profile of employees, so that in events team A is not working, team B can do what team A was doing. So the main thing is to split up your team, speed up your company into different groups, and not across different functions, and not split them as like finance come in one day and sales come in the other day. That's not how it works. The idea is to make it a cross function so that you can stagger the employees, so that in the event one group employees sick and taken out of commission, or they've been infected, the other group will still be able to keep the company going, right? The other thing is to stagger your employee time. No more than half your employees should be reporting in a single block, right? So that way, at least you make sure that your company will always be functioning, right? And last thing is, since you split the teams, keep the teams separate. Do not allow the same employee to come in from both groups, right? For example, employee A say, oh, today I can't come in, so I'll join the other shift to come in a different time. No, it's not allowed. If he can't come in, means he still follow team A's schedule, right? He cannot go and join team B's schedule halfway through the cycle. So that's one way to stagger employees, to make sure that you can split them to shifts, you can split them to hours, right? So just that way you make sure that you do not have a case where a person who's infected from team A can go on to team B and spread to the rest as well. So I think by now this is probably well practiced by a lot of companies. So please continue doing that. Next thing is to minimize your gatherings in groups, right? If you can conduct meetings virtually, you should still continue doing that. You should attend webinars. If you are attending Just Login webinars, you should still continue doing that. That's kind of the main point here. So yes, you need to conduct as much meetings as you can virtually. Take more lunches, take more breaks alone. No more mass lunch, bring your lunch in. So these are things that you should encourage employees to do to minimize the interaction between physical contact between employees. Okay, no social gathering outside or inside the workplace. The next thing is that if you're working in an office, if you really have the employees coming, they need to be wearing a mask at all times, all right? Probably only the time when they are drinking or eating, but they essentially have to wear the mask at all times. So that is to make sure that, as you all know, right, mask is a very straightforward way to protect the other employees. So this is required under regulations. Next thing to look at is how to safeguard your workplace. So with safeguarding workplace is a lot to do with how you lay out your office and so forth, but there are a few things to look at. One of the main thing is you need to manage your access control. You need to keep track of people who's going in and out of the office at all times, right? So visitors who's coming in needs to go through via safe entry, need to clock in as well, or they need to do temperature checks at the entry, okay, and refuse entries for high temperatures. So there's many ways for you to do this. You can use a thermometer, right? Put a thermometer on standby, get somebody, your receptionist, to do that. Or, if you don't have a receptionist, there's a lot of devices now out in the market that's able to do temperature scanning as well as clocking in. So you can actually combine these two devices into one. So incidentally, we will give you a sneak preview of what such device that we are launching on our end. Next thing you need to do is reconfigure your workplace so that in between work desk, there's at least 1 meter apart, okay? And you need to minimize all these contact. You need to demarcate common places so that people don't gather around. You need to minimize physical contact points. So as much as possible, spread your team all around so that they don't share a space. So some organizations, I heard, basically co-working spaces or shared tables, meeting rooms, these are the places that you should try to minimize so that there'll be less contact between employees. Last thing is to look at is workplace sanitation. So you need to make sure that your workplace is sanitized regularly, cleaned down regularly. You get the cleaners to clean out your aircon vent. Need to disinfect your equipment that you share, computer keyboards, computer monitors, telephones. These are places that you need to regularly disinfect, I would say almost on a daily basis, and provide hand soap and sanitizers all around. Next to look at is how to manage unwell employees, right? Unwell employees usually in such a ways that a lot of people tend to think, before COVID, everyone who's still sick, I got a small sniffle, they still come to work. But I think this time it really brings us attention. If you're not feeling well, your employee should not be at your workplace at all. In fact, when post or pre-COVID, this should be the practice. I think that's probably one of the reasons management had to rethink. Just because employee is sick and unwell, do not underestimate it. It could actually be quite a serious problem. The first thing is to make sure you monitor employee sick leave, right? If you don't, you need to keep a record of all the MCs and diagnosis provided. You need to disclose any task and result, and ensure employees are well before they return to work. So these could be, you need to find a way to keep track of all these movement. I mean, one of the key things you can look at is probably our Just Leave module, which actually allows you to keep track of all these activity via a mobile app. So if the employees visit a doctor, he can take a snapshot, take a picture of it, upload into the system, and it will be considered a record, and it will be a valid record that you can refer to when day comes. So I will urge you to look into all these setup to make sure that you're monitoring your employees' sick leave. Next thing is that you need to prepare in the event that you do get an unwell employee. You need to make sure you have an evacuation plan for suspected cases, right? Employees who are unwell should just report the employer, should not be like loitering around the office. And you need to keep track of all unwell cases. That means even the employees did take an MC, you need to take down the reason why they are sick and what kind of illness they have in your records so that in the event you will be able to refer back, and when you do contact tracing, we know exactly how these things, how the timeline and so forth. This will be very useful on the long term, and it's a practice that we generally Just Login will encourage companies to do on an ongoing basis, not just during this pandemic. Lastly, what if you got a case of COVID-19? Then you need to work out an evacuation plan. Make sure everyone's properly managed away from the individual or from the office premise. Speak to your building manager, building management to get them to activate their contingency plan, disinfect the area, cordon off all the areas that the person has been through, and lock down the place and do a thorough deep cleaning. So this is something that you probably had to plan ahead, so you know that in the event this happened, let employees know who they should call, who is the safe management officer they should call to activate this thing. And there should be a plan already in place and all the contact number and so forth, so these things do not keep you off guard. So in line with the situation, we have been hard at work over the last few months, trying to deal with all the help our clients go through this situation. Now that everyone's returning back to work, it seems like there's a lot more things other than standard HR practices that need to manage in, clock in, clock out. It seems like we need to help our customers address this. So we have been, over the last 3 months, we actually worked very hard to provide out a solution that most companies can look at that will help you ease into this return to work scenario much faster. So today we'd like to proudly present our Safe Clock device that we're launching. Is available as today. It's ready for use and it's integrated into JustLogin's application. So I'd like to share a video with everybody.
SafeClock is an all-in-one contactless temperature scanner, door access, and employee attendance solution to help you transition your employees back to the workplace safely. Employees can clock in and out of work daily via facial recognition. Their timings and temperatures are automatically captured in a split second and sent into your online portal in real time. The device detects high temperatures and will send administrators an alert via email or push notification if any employee is running a fever. SafeClock can also protect your workplace by acting as a door access. You can configure access based on registered faces, body temperature, and even detection of masks. Unregistered visitors will still have their photo, temperature, and time of entry recorded in your online portal for contact tracing purposes. It is easy to register employees on SafeClock. Simply tag the unregistered user photo to an employee. Employees' clock timing on the device will be reflected in attendance reports to track working hours and overtime. Create multiple shifts easily to manage staggered hours or split shifts. SafeClock is also integrated back to JustLogin's full suite of HR applications, allowing you to seamlessly manage employee payroll, leave, attendance, and expenses, even when you work from home. In Singapore, you can also integrate your work premises Safe Entry QR code on the device to allow employees and visitors to easily check in and out of Safe Entry. Clock in to work safely with SafeClock by JustLogin. SafeClock is an all-in-one contactless.
Well, that was a nice little introduction to what we're gonna do. So just to give you a case to a live demo, I would like to invite my colleague Yi-Ting to get on the video next. Thank you.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Great.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so we'll just introduce our SafeClock solution today and show you how, simulate how when your employees come into work, they can use the SafeClock solution. So firstly, like myself, when I'm coming to work, I just need to walk past and scan my face. And if you can see, it actually recognize my face and compares it with the photo registered in the JustLogin system. So we can identify the employee and it will track the clock hours accordingly. It also registers the temperature there. So we're going to do another demo to show how you can control and make sure that employees are all wearing the mask.
Please wear a mask. Please wear a mask.
So we can actually do the setting whereby it enforces the employees or any visitors that come in to wear a mask. And even though I'm wearing a mask, they can still recognize me as the employee. So the facial recognition is quite powerful with or without the mask. And the next thing that we are going to demo is a fever alert. So what happens when an employee is running a fever? So what we're going to do is we will change the configuration so that the fever temperature is lower to 36 degrees and see what happens.
Temperature high at 36.5
Okay.
degrees Celsius.
So it's a bit, we can adjust the volume, but you can actually show an alert on the device. And as well as, if you can see, the admin can receive a push notification to let you know, to let you know that the employee is running a temperature and you should check on the employee. You'll also receive the email notification. So that is for the fever alert. And the next thing that we are going to show you is what you want to do if you want to manage visitors, or if you're using it as a door access and you need to kind of recognize who is not a registered user or employee in your workplace. So I'll invite my colleague, Sanjay, to try out.
Visitor alert.
Okay, thank you, Sanjay. So as you can hear, you can actually hear the device saying visitor alert. So that will kind of alert maybe a receptionist to look out someone who is not maybe supposed to be here is entering the premises. And I mentioned you can also use this as a door access control. So last but not least, the feature that I want to share with you guys is how you can integrate safe entry into SafeClock. So if you can see on the bottom left corner, you can integrate your safe entry QR code into this device. You simply need to take your scanner to go here and it will prompt you to open the link, and that's where your employees can just check in via safe entry easily after they clock in to work. So that's the demo for SafeClock, and I will go back to you, Chua. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Yiting, for the demonstration. I hope that was useful for everybody, just to give a sneak preview of what we have lined up for everyone. Just before we go as well, we just gotta get a sense of the interest from the team, if there's any interest for us to speak to you further on SafeClock. So we're running a little poll. So please fill in the poll and let us know how we can help you further on this. Let me just give, hold on a minute. I realize I'm not sharing anything right now, so sorry about that. Yep. Okay. Okay, with that, let me just share with the team, everybody. For those who are interested, I mean, for those who have missed us in the previous webinars that we have done, please remember to check out our website, justlogin.com/businesscontinuity. We have recorded all our past sessions in there. You can actually join in the webinar, review those webinars again to see if there's anything that might be of interest to you. This is purely something that we are preparing for our audience. No obligation, just for us to share what's up there to make sure that everybody gets through this period, as best as they can. So feel free to check out our website, justlogin.com. Business Continuity will we will also continue preparing more webinars down the road to make sure that everyone is updated on the latest happening and some of the ideas in the market. So now that we can go straight into Q&A. So if you see the chat on the Q&A box in you can fill in the Q&A over there. You see a Q&A box in your Zoom chat. So let me try to see what we can do. Maybe very interesting question. So let me answer something that's a bit more straightforward first. Okay. The first question is that for the team segregation between team A and B, is there a recommended period by day or week? Usually I would say that by week will probably be more ideal, because day it's a bit harder to track, right? I mean, if you got a different day, then you work out which day. So by a week tends to be, in my opinion, probably a much better approach. It's easier to plan, and also there's a weekend to cover. So if in the event you need to do any disinfection of your office premise or anything like that, you can use the weekend to do that. That will probably be a little bit more ideal, in my opinion. I mean, it's up to you to experiment. I don't think there's a hard and fast rule for that. I think whether cross deployment is required due to unforeseen circumstances, can we use zoning segregation where this staff will not contact the rest of the staff? I think this is something, depending on the premise, is very unique to your setup. I think there's no straight off regulation of how you should do it, but do bear in mind that if such a virus happens, it's transmittable through air. It stays on surfaces for quite some time. I hear some of the surfaces, it can stay for a couple of hours. So even if you zone out the place, is it still the best way to avoid contact? I think it's debatable. I don't think there's hard and fast rule. It really depends on business requirement, and something you might want to take in mind that this virus is actually quite contagious. I'd like to answer a little bit on our Safe Clock. Is Safe Clock only for employees for facial recognition? Yes and yes, in a certain way. Safe Clock is for employees, but it can register your visitors as well. It will capture all visitors that go into your premise, and it will be captured in our system so that you can review it. So it's not just for employees, but it mainly will be used primarily for employees, and I would say some ad hoc visitors that come in, because ad hoc visitors come in, you will probably have a safe entry management, but it's also a way for you to clock in. So you can use it for both, okay? Mainly for employees, but yet you can use it for guests coming in. Regarding the question that if Safe Clock eligible for PSG, this will be a case that our sales teams can help you with. I will urge you to, since you've already put in your during the poll session, you already put in your interest, our sales team will contact you. They can speak with you about this. So currently it's something that my sales team will be able to have the kind of conversation with you. Okay, so there's a couple of them on IT grants. Yes, we'll have to look into your case-by-case basis, and we'll look at what's required, and we can work out something for you. So this is something that our sales team will be gladly able to assist you. So whether the visitors can use a safe entry via safe clock, until during the demo, I think you've seen that we already there's a place where you put the QR code of your company, but essentially our system is not connected directly with GovTech's information system. We're talking to them about this, but right now there's no such native connectivity available, so which I don't foresee this to happen for some time. So the technical question is no, but we have made it a bit easier by uploading the QR code in our device. Can you use device for temperature check for visitors? Yes, you can. So the same thing applies. You can refuse entry if the customer refuse them from coming in. We can configure the device in such a way that you can refuse them from opening a door even. So we will work with we will work with you. We will arrange somebody to, if you need it for opening the door, we can actually get somebody to get up set up for your premises. Is there any additional module with cost involved? Same thing. We will have our sales team reach back out to you so that you can we'll have the discussion separately. Yes, Yonghui has asked if we do not capture the details like name and contact. How do you do that? There are many solutions out there that provide such a possibility. I mean, there'll be Envoy, such a app that we use. It's installed on iPad, and you actually can use that to capture names. This is something that we use internally at JustLogin. But of course, we are in the future probably looking at such more native integration. Do bear in mind that because of the whole situation, this is our first version out the market. We'll be looking at further integration in the future. So this is something that would be a good idea for us to explore. Sorry, Safe Clock is not compulsory. It's a device that we offer separately to our customers, so it's not compulsory. So okay, this is an interesting one. Is disinfection workplace compulsory if anyone is in the office contracted COVID-19, partially entire workplace? I would say that this will probably requires almost entire workplace. In fact, when we had a case in our building, maybe like a couple of months back, the whole floor was actually cut off, right? Whole floor, because the same person would have gone through, used the lift, could have infected somebody else in the company, and not knowingly the virus could have spread to the other areas of the workplace as well. So my suggestion is the entire workplace. But then again, I think it's best to, when you have such a situation, I understand that, you know, the government authorities will probably come in and guide you through the process. So this is not something that we can advise, but I recommend that you check with the relevant agency and your management office. Can you arrange? Okay, can you arrange for a demo for my team? We definitely can do that. So please reach out to our our sales team, and we will get back to you on how to do that arrangement. So Darian Talk came up with some also interesting question where I thought I can help answer. One is, if team A is coming from 7:30 to 5 p.m. and team B comes from 9 to 18 p.m., would they clash? Yes, they will, because they have overlapping hours. So the point with segregating your employees is to make sure that they don't even meet each other. So it's not about segregating our time, but it's best to segregate such a way that team A finishes, then team B will come in after. So try not to overlap their hours if they need to come in. With very small company with only 5 staff, I mean, I would say that you still need to stagger office as much as possible. In fact, if you've only 5 staff, I mean, my recommendation is to consider as much as possible to have your staff to work from home, and look at all these alternatives, because with 5 staff, it's probably easier to manage this work from home arrangement, and try to keep the counter the minimum. But I would say 5 staff, of course, you can stagger. It's quite hard to stagger, but nevertheless, I would encourage the company, with a small company like yours, to look into working from home as much as possible. I think that's all there's quite a bit of questions. I think separately what I'll do is I'll have my team. I think a lot of it is something that it's quite a bit of questions. So what we'll do is, I think what we'll have is I'll have my team post up the questions collected today, and maybe we could prepare as much of a question, some proper FAQ on the site, and when you've replied to our questionnaire, we can actually send you some of the response so that you can have it as part of the reply from our poll today. So with this, I'd like to end today's webinar, and I hope everyone has been able to get a sense of what needs to be done. And hopefully we can get out of this situation very, very soon. So thank you everybody for your time today, and wish you all the best.